Okay, I made this rocket to try to bring a payload into space. For the payload, I'm just using this radio receiver thing that doesn't have any purpose as of yet, because the bigger ones I might have trouble holding on this rocket. But I'm going to try to launch that as a satellite into space on a fairly circular orbit. I don't know the exact procedure that you're supposed to use to do this, but I think the way I do it works pretty well. And I'm flying using the keyboard, so it's a little bit jerky because my joystick broke. Anyway, let's get to launching this. Okay. We'll launch. Okay, the first stage is just boosters, solid fuel boosters. Those aren't... I mean, it probably could take off without those, but I might run out of fuel before getting to an optimum altitude for orbiting, so I save a lot of fuel by using those at first. Anyway, that's pretty self-explanatory. Those are pretty useful. Once those drop off, the liquid engine, which is the main thing that gets me into orbit, is pretty much just that. So it's really only like 2 stages. Then I have another one to get back in, but anyway. Okay, now that I've got this, I used to like go into full burn all the way up, but I figured out that doesn't work. Because basically your velocity goes up so high that you'll have trouble getting into orbit, because once you turn towards the horizon, you'll still be going up, so you won't actually be able to get into orbit, or you'll get into an extremely eccentric orbit. So I'm going to keep it under 600 meters per second this entire time. That way I don't have as much inertia going upward, and I can get to the correct angle to start orbiting, and then I'll burn and get up to orbital speed. Around 10,000, I'm going to start slowly tilting over, because I found that works pretty well for this rocket, because if you tilt too fast, you can actually lose it. And I've lost control and ended up flipping completely over 360 degrees before, which wastes so much fuel, you really don't have much chance of getting into orbit then. I'm still keeping it at a relatively low speed, 600, or I can't actually read it on the preview because I'm recording this after I did it. But I always keep it under around 600, I know, so I'm going to keep it lined up right with that red thing just for a point of reference, so I don't go off the side too much, because that'll waste fuel. And it'll also, I just won't, it's good to keep things straight. But that's what that yellow circle with the lines in it, if you don't know, that's basically your direction of travel. That's the direction that you're moving towards. So if you're moving 90 degrees on the horizon and that's still like straight above you, you were going so fast that your inertia is still carrying the thing straight up even though you're facing a different direction. So you don't want that. See, I'm keeping it right on the crosshair as much as I can. That's because I'm going a lower speed. I'm not really sure what the red markers mean. I never looked it up. I just kind of figured out what the yellow ones are. The other yellow one that's like a circle with an X, that's the opposite direction. So if you wanted to slow down, you'd face towards that if you don't have retro rockets. Anyway, now it's a little bit above me, but it's still coming down real slow. So as long as that's coming down, I'll have a chance of getting into orbit. I have used almost half my fuel now. I'm getting it lined up with the horizon. No matter how slow I go, even if I cut throttle completely right here, as long as that yellow thing is above the horizon, I'm still going up. So I'm not going to fall into the planet. When it falls below the thing, that means I'm going down. So you don't want it to fall below that, because unless you want to lose altitude, then obviously you want it to fall below that. Now I've got the cross. I'm not really sure what that's called. I'm going to call it the crosshair. I have it lined up right with the horizon, which is right where I want it for an orbit. It's kind of hard to do this with the keyboard. It's not analog, but I did it pretty well for this video. Now I'm going to wait until it gets the yellow thing gets really close to the horizon, indicating that I'm flying like 90 degrees to the planet. And then I pause the video here for a second so that I can check what orbital speed I need on the orbital speed calculator. It's like 2,335 or something like that. So I'm going to increase engine output to almost full Even I think I even do full burn for a little bit, but it starts overheating. And then I'm going to use that to accelerate all the way up to my orbital speed. Then once I get close to my orbital velocity, I'm going to let off because I don't have a throttle, so I can't do it instantly. I have to use the keyboard, and it doesn't go down instantly. As long as you close the throttle completely, then you'll pretty much stay at a constant speed, as long as you're not in like a massively eccentric orbit or in the atmosphere, obviously. Anyway, once I get close to that, I'm going to start letting off on the throttle. And this is a pretty good orbit. See, I have the yellow thing right on the horizon, and I'm going the correct speed. So I should be orbiting right now. You know, like even if I'm slightly less or slightly more, it'll probably stay in. But it might be a little bit like an oval instead of a circle. Now I'm yawing a little bit to the left because I want to throw that. Even though I've got a little bit of fuel left, I don't need it. So, and I need to jettison it to launch my satellite. I'm gonna throw the second stage booster. And one time I threw it when I was still lined up with that red line right in the middle, and I ended up throwing it behind me. And then after I launched the satellite, I turned around to the opposite direction so that I could slow down and fall back into the planet, and I actually ended up flying into the booster at like 500 meters per second, killing everyone. Which, I mean, that's pretty low odds. I wasn't looking where I was going, but usually you kind of go on the side view when you're orbiting. But anyway, now I'm going to try to get it lined up with my direction of travel, or opposite in this case. See how I spun 180 degrees over? So then my my decoupler will end up launching that thing out, and now it should be orbiting, but it looks like it's going a little bit too fast. I'm not sure if I had like an opposite reaction. I slowed down, or if that's sped up. I'm not really sure, but there's no way it's sped up because escape velocity is like over 3,000. I don't think it's sped up that much. Anyway, I've got a solid booster for re-entry. So you see the second stage booster just shot past me. I ran into that one of my flights, and it was horrible because I didn't get to land, but that kind of thing happens, I guess. That was probably the most accidental disaster I've had. Most of the other ones, I like flew into the tower as I was lifting off, or it just exploded and stuff. But that could have been prevented. Anyway, now I'm slowing down. I'm going the direct opposite direction. I'm not flying down at all because I'm just trying to slow down as much as possible. I'm flying straight towards that yellow circle with the X through it, so I can slow down as much as possible. And once I slow down enough, I'll just fall in. Which I'm already slowed down enough. I'll hit the planet eventually, but I might hit in the dark area, which I'm pretty sure still kills you. I'm not sure though. Since I have a solid booster, I can't maneuver at all in the orbit, but I built this to launch payload, so I don't really need to do that. But I thought the solid booster would take up less space and weight, but I didn't actually confirm that. Anyway, no, I'm out of fuel in the solid booster, but I'm definitely losing altitude. You can tell by the thing up there. And now I'm going to go ahead and jettison that solid booster so that my parachute is more effective. So you don't want to have stuff attached on there when you're using the parachute, or you might get yourself killed. And now I'm coming in very fast at a pretty long trajectory, so I'm not going to be able to land very precisely, but once I get into the atmosphere I slow down quite a bit, which is what should happen. You don't want to open your chute too early, or it might get ripped away, or it'll just take a really long time to land. So I'm going to wait until I'm around 2,000 meters before I deploy my chute. You can wait even longer than that, but it depends on how fast you're going. But usually the atmosphere will have slowed you down, and and if you're going so fast that it doesn't, you'll probably just explode when you hit the atmosphere. So you don't want to go too fast going in. I've hit the atmosphere going 4,000 before, not exploded, but I'm pretty sure I know people have hit it faster and exploded, so. But I'm not really up for speed, so there's not much reason to hit it that fast. And anyway, I think I've started decelerating now that I've hit the atmosphere, and my velocity direction is going ever so much towards the middle, straight towards the middle of the planet. because I'm getting hit by so much air. Anyway, now I'm falling quite a bit slower than I was at the beginning. I'm going to still wait until I get to around 2,000 before deploying my chute, so it doesn't take too long, but if you deployed at this point, it probably wouldn't be that bad. Still waiting for that. Now I'm lined up almost exactly with the bottom there. At about 5,000, dropping pretty steadily. 4,000. 3,000. Okay, now I'm at 2,000. I'm going to try to deploy it around 2,000 on the dot. And there it goes. Okay, now that's going to sit up there, and it usually doesn't deploy till you get to around 500 or 700. Sometimes when you press the button it seems to deploy too, but I don't know if you always control that or if it always opens by itself. I don't know. But it's open now, and I'm moving about 12.5 meters per second. That seems to be the speed this parachute opens at, that's about 25 miles per hour. I thought that was kind of fast. That's like, you get whiplash from that, but I don't think this is perfectly to scale. Unless you do hit the ground that hard. What do I know? But, I mean, a lot of times, like the Apollo program, they landed in the ocean, but I know the Russians landed on land, so... Anyway, that was it. I'm landed. I deployed that thing. Anyway, don't know if that stayed in orbit, but that's the way I would try to launch it. But if you just want to experiment, you can try that too, because that was pretty easy. See ya.